So Candace Owens came out with another statement, another one, basically running defense for Adolf Hitler again. She now believes that it was wrong for the United States to get involved in World War II. I'm going to say this to far-right conservatives. As it stands right now, y'all are not sending your best. You're not sending your smartest. You're not sending your brightest. You're sending Candace Owens. Nick, the rest of y'all over there, figure out someone new to send, because this one ain't working. This is just ridiculous. Let's watch this foolishness.
Greater sins? Absolutely not. This whole idea of international liberalism. Now it's not just about your problems, it's about solving the world's problems. Let's make sure that in Pakistan there's a trans flag waving. No, I actually, if Pakistan does not want to wave a trans flag, I don't even want to wave a trans flag, but why is this my business? And they're constantly trying to pollute you to make you think that it is your business. No, I actually am comfortable if that's going to be the newest smear that I have to wear, that we're isolationists. Good. I want to be concerned with just America's problems. As soon as those get resolved, I'm happy to peek up our head and say, oh, well, you know what? There are our friends over there in the UK. They're doing it. We can help them. But
honest to God, anyone who comes to you know how stupid you have to be to, number one, think that isolationism works in 2024. And you know how stupid you have to be to think that, the reason why my nation is facing internal issues right now is because the mustache man didn't win World War II. Because we got involved in World War II, that's why all of these issues in America that I don't like, that's why they're happening. This is the kind of lazy ideologue politics we're dealing with coming from the right now. But it also speaks to how unintelligent Candace is as a person in general. Because the reality is, as many people know, the United States greatly benefited economically from World War II. In fact, the weapons manufacturing industry we built up as a result of World War II helped take us out of the Great Depression. But because Candace Owens either A, is so ideologically drunk on her own supply, she's unwilling to acknowledge the truth, or she's just so ignorant that she actually believes the United States is worse off post-World War II than pre-World War II. You can't make this kind of foolishness up. The prosperity that we enjoyed as a result, post-World War II, the prosperity we enjoyed as a nation is directly linked to the economic upturn we enjoyed as a result of World War II, the manufacturing. I did some research on this because I knew I was right. Oh, I knew I was right, but I still decided to do a little bit of research. So, to quote history.com, on the home front, meaning the United States here at home, the massive mobilization effort during World War II had put Americans back to work. Unemployment, which had reached 25% during the Great Depression and hovered at 14.6% in 1939, dropped to 1.2% by 1944, still a record low in the nation's history. How Candace Owens could still actually believe that we in any way, shape, or form were worse off blows my mind. Blows my mind. And it goes on to say this: history proved the pessimists wrong about the United States not being able to maintain its economic growth after the war. Most returning veterans had no trouble finding jobs, according to Herman. U.S. factories that had proven so essential to the war effort quickly mobilized for peacetime, rising to meet the needs of consumers who had been encouraged to save up their money in preparation for just such a post-war boom. By the summer of 1945, Americans had been living under wartime rationing policies for more than 3 years, including limits on such common goods as rubber, sugar, gasoline, fuel oil, coffee, meat, butter, milk, and soap. Meanwhile, the U.S. government's Office of Price Administration had encouraged the public to save up their money, ideally by buying war bonds for a brighter future. In her book, A Consumer's Republic, The Politics of Mass Consumption in Post-War America, Elizabeth Cohen, Candace is not going to like that last name, reported that by 1945, Americans were saving an average of 21% of their personal disposable income compared to just 3% in the 1920s. With the war finally over, American consumers were eager to spend their money on everything from big-ticket items like homes, cars, and furniture to appliances, clothing, shoes, and everything else in between. U.S. factories answered their call, beginning with the automobile industry. New car sales quadrupled between 1945 and 1955, and by the end of the 1950s, some 75% of American households owned at least one car. In 1965, the nation's automobile industry reached its peak, producing 11.1 million new cars, trucks, and buses, accounting for 1 out of every 6 American jobs. Candace Owens, if you're not getting it yet, does not know what she's talking about at all. But when you're trying to argue that the mustache man was a net positive for humanity and maybe he should have won the war, maybe we were fighting the wrong enemy all along, which is basically what she tried to push in one of her more recent episodes. When you believe that he was the right one and we were the wrong one, you then have to find yourself trying to bring up historically inaccurate statements and stories and tall tales in order to justify your anti-Jewish pro-Nazi movement, which is exactly what Candace Owens thinks she has a place in. So let's return to the foolishness.
America first.
But Japan did attack Pearl Harbor, so presumably you would have reacted to that.
Yeah, I mean, yes, look at it. I think, of course, if you're ever talking about a threat in terms of your nation being attacked, you should always have an equal response. But at the moment,
so
we're
that
being
war was just.
a response was just, right? Does the response necessarily dictate a world war? These are questions that should be relegated, I think, to an academic discussion. These would be interesting academic discussions. I'd love to get a bunch of people and to play out those scenarios. What if we had just responded to Japan and dealt with?
Okay, I'm serious now. Nick, the rest of y'all, like white supremacist Catholics, please pull Candace back. Y'all are not sending your best and your brightest. Why does Candace Owens not know that Japan expanding its territories in the Pacific involved them being in a war with China? They also, in their plans to expand in the Pacific, attack not just the United States, but also Dutch territories in the Dutch East Indies and also territories of the United Kingdom. Does Candace not know that European powers back then still had many colonial territories spanning across the globe? These European powers weren't just fighting one another in Europe. They were fighting one another in Africa, in Asia, in the Middle East. They were fighting one another in the Pacific. This was by all def a world war. Japan was already at war with China at that time. Russia and Germany had teamed up to conquer Poland after Russia had annexed Czechoslovakia and I also believe Austria. And the United Kingdom, Britain and France told Poland, hey bro, like, okay, we gave these dudes the Sudetenland and then we let them take Czechoslovakia. Look, if they're making demands for your land too, guess what? Check it out. We'll make a deal. If these motherfuckers declare war on you, we will step in and honor our treaty obligation that we're going to make today, that if they attack you, we will defend you. Why do you think Candace Owens and the Allies understood the importance of defending against expansionist powers? Because as it turns out, war is really bad for business. And Nazi Germany showed they could not be trusted. These dudes were homeboys with Russia, and they couldn't even keep that friendship. They turned on them with Operation Barbarossa, if I recall correctly. So we know that even if we had allowed Mustache Man to continue his adventure and, annex more territory, it was very possible that at some point he would become so powerful that he would no longer be a trustworthy, reliable, rational actor on the geopolitical stage. He never even was. And thankfully, we had the foresight to see that. But I want Candace Owens to understand something. Notice how you guys keep calling for us to give concessions to Vladimir Putin? You do know we gave concessions to Hitler. You do know that, right? We tried. Neville Chamberlain, we gave that man concessions. We said if we just give this man the Sudetenland, if we kind of let him take the rest of Czechoslovakia, like if we let this happen, surely this man's expansionist desires, his hunger will be sated. Wrong. Wrong. Bro, he like, these fuck niggas ain't finna do shit, boy. What I'm about to do next is I'm about to annex Poland with my Russian homeboys, and these British, French fuck niggas, they not about to do shit. Of course, he was wrong. But how could you blame him? He was kind of on a little streak there, and then nobody stopped him. So he thought, man, he fucking that pussy, bro. Like, we about to do what we want to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're like, shit, we about to do what we want to do. It is what it is. But to try to argue that somehow or another, a world war, was that really necessary? It's like, Candace, are you retarded? Like, are you retarded? What do you think the proper response should have been from the United States? What do you think it should have been? Japan was trying to become an empire that would have disturbed the economic and geopolitical balance of the world at that time. Thanks to not allowing nations to engage in expansionist fuckery, you've been able to enjoy the majority of your life being in peace, Candace. This is why we created things like NATO. This is why we have so many U.S. military bases all around the world, so that situations like this cannot just spring up again without us being able to stop it or contain it. Candace Owens seems to think that the response should have, I guess, been a little tit for tat, like, okay, you did a little Pearl Harbor on us, so we'll do a little Pearl Harbor on you. No, Japan's Pearl Harbor was just one aspect of their offensive. They intended to do significant damage to our Navy so they could conquer more land in the Pacific. Their act was not just an act of, all right, America, I'm going to spit in your eye. No, their act was, nigga, it's wartime, and we have big, bold, and grand ambitions, and you and your desires and interests and your desire to stop us from expanding our territories, that's getting in the way of our grand dream and goal. So what we're going to do is try to remove you from the Pacific War as best we can, remove you from the Pacific theater of war, try to make you an inactive player so we can continue to expand. That was not an issue we could just make go away, not to mention us, our ships being sunk by German fucking U-boats. Like, Candace, there was no choice for it to be a world war. The European powers had so many territories across the globe. There was no getting around that. These European powers were fighting one another everywhere. Everywhere. Australia was involved. Like, this was going to be a world war no matter what. And it wasn't because of us, the Allies. It was because of the Axis powers. They were a global force. There's no getting around this. There's literally no getting around this. I'm curious to hear what Candace's solution to Pearl Harbor would have been.
Right. I haven't had the time to sit down and think about it, and I definitely don't want to do that on the fly and get that wrong. But it would be a very interesting discussion to think about other options in terms of responding to things,
You haven't had the time to think about it. That's the problem with you, Candace, is you don't think. You hear an alternative theory or belief that goes against the narrative, and you latch onto it because you think that if the establishment says something, it must be wrong. Then you go on you're about to quote Tucker Carlson for foreign policy interpretations. He's a liar. This is the same guy who lied to his audience trying to convince them that Russian groceries are cheaper than American groceries, which is a lie because we know Russians are paying about half of their weekly to monthly salary on groceries. That's bad. Horrendously bad, tragically bad. But don't let that get in Tuk-Tuk's way of lying to his audience. This is the same guy who also forcibly admittedly lied about the election being stolen thanks to Dominion Voting's lawsuit. So it's really, really funny how this woman sits there and says, I really haven't thought about it. I don't want to think about it on the fly. One of two things is happening here. Either A, Candace Owens really has not thought about it at all, which is very possible because she's never really had a very fleshed out, realistic geopolitical take ever. She's always working off of emotion and ideology. Or Candace is very well aware that her narrative is BS and just bunk, but she understands that in order to argue that Adolf Hitler and his homeboys weren't that bad, you would then have to argue that the Allies were the bad guys, and maybe we shouldn't have gotten involved in that war, and maybe we should have just been focused on only America. But the reality is, Candace, is that you're not smarter than our grandparents and great-grandparents. They understood that expansionist powers could not be allowed to run rampant. They understood that the economic prosperity of the world would be put at risk if these powers were able to just expand to any such lengths that they wanted to, and the United States itself and its national security could be put at risk if foreign powers were able to just make us submit to their will. The old days of the Atlantic and the Pacific being our walls that blocked us from the affairs of the world is long gone. In fact, I don't think it ever even really existed. I mean, since European colonialism, the world's always been interconnected. Although, World War II is a completely different level of interconnection. in terms of the speed of ships and planes, you can't go back to isolationism. It never really did exist, and it never can exist. The reason why people of her ideological ilk love the idea of isolationism so much is not just because they hate anything that isn't white, Anglo-Saxon, and Christian and American, and therefore don't even want to see it. They also have very nefarious plans that they want to implement within this country. And if the United States is connected to and beholden to the judgment and condemnation of the world, that's a bad look. So what they want to do is turn us away from the world, to isolate us, and to basically insulate us, and then act out their racial, gender focused, women need to be in this particular position in life, and minorities need to be here, and blah blah blah. This is what they want. They want a world where they can dictate the lives and futures of anyone who's not a straight white male in the most negative way possible. And I sound like an absolute libtard, but I'm sorry. When you're dealing with people like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and Fuentes and the rest of them, they believe in a reality in a world in which the straight white male is at the top of American society, not just by statistics or just, socioeconomic factors, but by law. By law. And minorities are kept in the position of weakness. Women are sequestered to certain positions in life they can't get away from. That is their ideal future. I don't know why Candace Owens thinks she fits into that future because she's black, but she seems to think she can. But what I believe is happening here is Candace Owens literally does not know what she's saying. I don't think she's given it any thought at all. All she thinks is, well, I want to focus on America's problems only. And she knows that sounds really, really nice. She gives it no further thought. She doesn't give it a second to think, well, why did our forefathers, not forefathers, that's a very long time ago. Why did our predecessors think it right and just and strategically sound to engage in the conflict after being attacked? Why did we think that was appropriate? Why? Well, it's obvious we were attacked, but even further than that, why did we feel the need to put sanctions on Japan? We know why, because they were a violent expansionist power that was threatening U.S. geopolitical interests in the region and American national security in that region of the world. I mean, the answer is obvious, but she hasn't thought about it, because the only thing she thinks about is ideology. America first. Christ first. That's why when she talks about the bombings of Nagasaki and Hiroshima, the only thing she can think about is Christians died in that bombing. She doesn't even think about the alternative choice. When these big dogs were making these decisions in World War II, you could either send American troops into Japan and lose about 1 million American troops. We were going to lose a lot of men. A lot of people alive today wouldn't be alive today if we had gone through that operation, but we were preparing for it. We had so many Purple Hearts prepared for that for that part of the conflict that we still have some of them left over for the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. Like, we were preparing for that. And I mentioned that before my last video. Does Candace Owens not understand what the American people would have done to the president if they found out he sent all those Marines and soldiers and sailors and airmen to die? Well, I don't think we had an Air Force back then, but you get my point. All of those servicemen to die, even though we had 2 massive bombs in the tuck. 2 super weapons that would have made Japan capitulate. The American people would have stormed the White House and lynched that president as if he were black. I'm telling you, it would have been the worst thing we'd ever seen. It would have been the worst. That president would not resign in shame. He'd be dead. He'd be killed. I'm just telling you right now. But Candace Owens hasn't thought about these things because her brand of politics is ideology. Ideologue, race, religion. These are important things. But when we're talking big boy politics, there comes a point in time where you have to put the ideology aside and look at real administration and governance, real strategy, taking care of grown man business. The problem is people like Tucker Carlson, Candace, and Nick aren't about grown man business. They're not. It's about ideology. It's about Christ. It's about Jews. It's about white people. And it's like, okay, you guys aren't focused on what makes America win in the world. You're focused on your ideal version of America. You're not focused on anything geopolitical, anything strategic, anything economic. All you care about is your ideology. And it's incredibly important for those people to finally just admit and acknowledge that.
That he wouldn't have dropped a nuke, and the world went, what are you talking about? And I said, no, he's absolutely correct. The war was essentially over. Japan was already negotiating their surrender. They had been literally on the defense for 2 years. There was no reason that we needed to drop that bomb on a Catholic church, no less, in Nagasaki in order
See, I told you.
to end the war. That's garbage that you're being taught in your school system, and it's making it so that you don't think critically and that you don't question government initiatives when they say rah, 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 let's go to war. Let's have the courage to talk about what the military-industrial complex is and whether or not it's serving us. Because let me tell you something. If we're sending trillions of dollars and trillions of dollars overseas, and they're taking money from us every second of the day to fight wars, and you're telling me that we don't even have a secure border, that's fraud. I don't care which way they try to spin it.
See, this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Candace Owens does not think about actual politics. She thinks about ideology. Candace, Christianity is all over the world. Chances are you're going to blow up a church in a world fucking war. Mosques, I bet, were blown up back then. I bet mosques got blown up. I bet all sorts of religious temples got blown the fuck up. This is unfortunately the cost of war. What, you think Christians are exempt from death? You think churches are exempt from being blown up? This is war. Are you serious? So because there's Christians there, don't do anything. The truth is, Japan was not ready to surrender at that point. We dropped one bomb and they still weren't ready to surrender. It wasn't until we dropped the second bomb that they actually surrendered. This narrative that, oh, Japan was already surrendering. They hadn't surrendered, and they had a really nasty track record of not surrendering. Horrible track record of not surrendering. Disgraceful track record of not surrendering. The reality was the United States was preparing to invade the mainland of Japan because of their inability to surrender. It was like Rome versus Carthage. These niggas just would not give up. And we had some decisions to make. It was we send the boys in and we take casualties, the likes of which we've never seen before, or actually, we take casualties we haven't seen since the Civil War, or we drop the two bombs. And because we dropped the two bombs, we were able to force a surrender without losing a single American troop invading the mainland of Japan. The mainland specifically. That's how you conduct grown man business. And that's just the facts. That's how you conduct grown man business. Tucker Carlson's a bum. He's a liar. He's a fraud. Listening to him about foreign policy is ridiculous. You think Tucker Carlson actually thinks we shouldn't have dropped bombs on Japanese people? The man's a full-blown racist. Of course he... Like, you actually... Come on. And her only real justification is there was a church that we blew up. Oh my God. Who cares? Who fucking cares? Imagine the president being, I don't want to drop the bomb because it's a church in Nagasaki. Like, pussy. Fuck, nigga, do what you're supposed to do. You cry because it's a church? You got bombings going on all over Europe, full of churches, mind you. Europe literally was the home of Christianity for centuries. I'm sure the bombing campaigns that took place by both sides destroyed churches. I'm 1,000,000% confident they did. What are you going to do? Not engage in your responsibility as a world leader because, oh no, a church might get bombed? Are we serious right now? This is grown adult conversation right now. Really. Then she talks about the military-industrial complex. Ma'am, thanks to the military-industrial complex, we're able to stifle the war in Ukraine. Not a single American soldier or NATO troop has lost their life in Ukraine because we spend so much money on weapons. We spend so much money on defense, we're able to send weapons we weren't even probably going to ever use to Ukraine to fight for their independence and freedom and to stifle our most active enemy right now, Russia. Thanks to the military-industrial complex, thanks to the expansive nature of the U.S. military, we are able to secure a global and economic peace, the likes of which has never been seen in the history of the world. Thanks to the power of the U.S. Navy, we are able to safeguard trade all over the world and ensure economic prosperity for regions all over the world. Thanks to foreign aid, we're able to stifle war and disease as best we can to help bring in third world nations into the global economy. These things are done for a purpose and it directly benefits you. But because you don't automatically see the benefit, you don't care. I'm sick and tired of people who have no appreciation for the actual science of politics, no love for politics, being involved in politics. Candace Owens does not love politics. She loves ideologies. She loves ideologue perspectives is what she loves. She doesn't actually care about actual policy. Okay, why did we do this? What was the strategy? What was the alternative? She doesn't know and she doesn't care. She literally admitted, I haven't really researched this. Research it. Put some faith in our fucking predecessors. Look at what they wrote. Put some faith in our predecessors. Look at what they wrote. Look at the decisions they had to make. Respect their memories and honor that and read what they wrote. Instead of letting a nigga who wore a bow tie as a grown-ass man tell you, all right, let me just play the first fool.
I don't care how many sad stories you try to tell us. That is absolute fraud being enacted upon the American people.
To many Americans, saying that we shouldn't go to war because of Pearl Harbor sounds like weakness or maybe even cowardice. How do you respond to that?
Well, war is not responding, right? I'm not saying that there should always be an equal response to make sure that you are in fact secure anytime you are attacked. But to call that cowardice at the very same time saying that we have a porous border and we should do nothing. No, that's cowardice. This is way worse. What's happening right now in our country right now is way worse, okay? We have a bunch of people coming in. We don't know who they are. They're coming everywhere from Kazakhstan, from China. We have men that are traveling alone. It's pretty obvious the writing is on the wall if there's going to be another terror attack. And then when it happens, we're going to say what? Oh, we need a world war? No, we could have avoided this world war if we had secured our borders. There are ways to avoid war, and it's not by just taxing the American people out of existence. So, I take great exception to the idea that the only response can ever be a world war when you are attacked. I think that we need to...
You're an idiot. Candace Owens, you're so stupid. Did you say anything when House Republicans blocked a border bill that a Republican wrote that Democrats had agreed to pass? If you care about the border, why didn't you condemn Republicans for tanking that border bill? The reality is, you don't care about the border. You care about people who think like you being in charge. You're willing to compromise Americans' foreign and domestic national security in order to create your ideological haven of whiteness and Christianity, which you don't actually have a future in. Reminder, you're black. This nonsense of, self-defense doesn't have to mean war. You're a child. You are a child. When you're dealing with an expansionist power that's not only attacking you and causing Pearl Harbor was a tragedy that demanded nothing but war. That demanded war. There was no, tit for tat, tee. That's pussy shit. This expansionist power, which serves to threaten your geopolitical interests in the future, just attacked you. Not only do you have a moral and instinctive right to attack, you have a strategic need to attack. Do what you need to do. These people don't care about policy. They care about ideology. What makes us feel all warm and fuzzy inside? Is there a church down there? Don't blow that up. Don't, even if it's what's best for our strategy, even if it would save American lives, don't blow up that city because a church might get hit in the process. These are the kinds of children we're dealing with. People who think on ideology alone and don't give a fuck about the functioning of government, foreign politics, domestic politics. They don't care. These are not people of honor. These are not people of integrity. Because a man or a woman of honor would sit there and say, Republicans, I know we hate Biden. I know we want this man gone. But we need this border fixed and we need it fixed now. That would be something somewhat of honor and integrity would say. But when you're bereft of these things, you're completely capable and willing to ignore the very thing you've been crying about for months and then sit there and say, well, there were some things we didn't like, despite the fact that the bill would have given Biden the authority to shut down the border, which he agreed to do once the bill was passed. But you guys still chose to tank the bill because Trump told you to. You people have no honor. You people have no integrity. You are bereft of all these things. And you have no geopolitical understanding of anything. You people need to be stopped in 2024. You need to be defeated. You are the new evil of this world. You are on the wrong side of history. And just like every other evil force in history, the Confederacy, the Nazis, all of you will be defeated. But this time, thanks to the internet, this shit is immortalized. Y'all ain't about to get away with this shit. And that's just the facts. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm out.